guys, and welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to pop on here real fast to announce that I will be doing a giveaway once I hit my 10,000 subscribers. I'm very excited about it, and I just wanted to say a quick thank you to all of my subscribers and my followers. I really appreciate you guys. To be entered into this giveaway, all you have to do is be subscribed to my channel, of course, and secondly, comment on this video. So you can comment whatever you'd like, just stop by and say hi, it doesn't matter. And I'll choose the winner at random 2 weeks from the day that this video is posted. So you guys have 2 weeks to enter my giveaway. Stop by and say hi. To get started on this bandeau, I'll be using a worsted weight yarn. And of course this week I'll be back to using my 5mm hook. You'll also need about 3 or 4 different colored embroidery threads, but of course I went ahead and picked out about 8 different colors. And lastly, you'll also need a darning needle to stitch on your flowers. So let's get into it. The first step of this bandeau is to make my ribbed band. So I'll start off with my slip knot. Next, I'm going to chain 6 plus 1 for turning. 2, 3, 4, 5, and here's my 6. I'm going to add on 1 more for turning. To start my first row, I'll begin by placing 1 single crochet into each stitch, starting from the 2nd stitch from the hook. So to begin row 1, I'm going to skip that first stitch from the hook and begin by placing a single crochet in the 2nd. I'm going to insert and pull up a loop, and with 2 on, I'll yarn over and pull through both. And there's my first single crochet. From here, I'm going to go into that next stitch from the hook, insert and pull up a loop, and with those 2 on, yarn over and pull through both. And if you're a regular here to my channel, you'll already know how to work these single crochets pretty easily. And now I'll just continue to place 1 single crochet into each stitch until I reach the end of my chain. Here at my last stitch, I'll finish out that row. To start my second row, I'll chain 1 and turn my work. And now for my second row and the rest of my band, I'll be working with front post stitches. So to start my second row, I'll enter through my first stitch, wrap around the back, and pop back out on that front side. So my post here is resting on the front of my hook. Yarn over and pull through that stitch, and with 2 on, I'll yarn over and pull through both. And there's my first front post stitch. To show you that step one more time, I'm going to go into the very next stitch, wrap around that post, and come out on that front side again. Yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through. So I've just chosen to work with front post stitches because they're going to help create a ribbed pattern for our band. Carrying on down the row, and here for my very last stitch, there's not really a post to wrap around. So I'm just going to pick up that stitch like a normal single crochet, insert and pull up a loop, yarn over and finish out that single. So the last stitch on every row is going to finish with a regular single crochet. And there's my second row. To start my third row, again, I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. And now I'm just going to work my third row with those front post single crochets again. So I'm going to insert at that first stitch, wrap around, and come out on that front side and finish a single crochet, and again enter into that next stitch, wrap around that post, and come out on the front side. And I'll continue to work with those front post stitches until I reach the end of my row. And back for my very last stitch at the third row again, I'm just going to pick it up like normal and make a regular single crochet. because I'm working bottom up for this bandeau, I need this ribbed band to wrap around my waist. So I need to continue to add rows to my ribbed band until it stretches to my waist measurements. And for my body type, the number that I'll need to crochet to is roughly 27 inches long. I'm going to work a total of 98 rows to get my band to stretch to my 27 inches. I've worked a few more rows and this is what it looks like after about 6. So I'm just going to continue to add on more until I reach my waist measurement. Okay, I'm back again, and as you can see, I have finished up my bottom band. I can't quite fit all of my measurements on frame, but resting flat, my band reaches to about 25 inches long. And when I give it a little bit of a stretch, it hits my 27-inch marker. Make sure that you're not overstretching your band. You just want to give it a little bit of a tug to allow for some leeway while you're slipping it on. In total, I've crocheted about 98 rows for my band. And now we can start working on the body of our bandeau. So picking up here where I've left off at the end of my 98th row, I'm going to turn my band horizontally and begin to place stitches all along this top edge. To start my first row of the body, I've already chained one, and now I'm going to place one single crochet into each row along the band. To show you how I start the first row, I've already chained my one. I'm going to go into that first stitch, pull up a loop, and place my first single crochet. And looking along this top row, you can start to see open little gaps where you can place your single crochets. So here at this gap, I'm going to place another single crochet. And looking for a spot for my next stitch, I'm going to place it right here in this row. And here at my next gap, I can place another single crochet. And now I'll just continue to place single crochets along the top edge of my band, making sure to space them out as evenly as possible. And just to give you guys a quick gauge reference, I have about 14 stitches placed every 4 inches. I've reached the end of my first row, and as you can see here, I have one more stitch left. So I'm going to finish that up with a single crochet. And at the end of my row here, I can chain one and turn my work. To start my second row, and for every row after, I'll be placing one single crochet into the top of each stitch until I reach the end of my row. Looking at the first stitch in the row, I'm going to enter and pull up a loop, and with 2 on, yarn over and pull through both. Here's my second stitch. Just working with regular single crochets, nothing fancy. And that's pretty much all there is to the pattern for the body of the bandeau. Just continue to work rows of single crochets until the bandeau reaches your preferred length. Okay, so I'm back now, and as you can see, I have finished the body section of my bandeau. For my body section, I have worked a total of 23 rows of the single crochet. So that is pretty much the basis of how to make this bandeau top. It's very quick and easy to work up. The height of my top so far is roughly 7 1/4 inches, and with my work folded in half here, lying flat, my measurements are about 15 1/2 inches, so in total I have about 31 inches in length. And now that I have my 23 rows of the single crochet completed, I can start working on my top band. And at the corner of the body where I've left off, I've gone ahead and cut my yarn and left a very long tail to work with. In order to make my top band, I'm going to follow the same steps that I showed you earlier with my bottom band. So I'm going to start off with my slip knot. But here for my top band, I'm actually going to start by chaining 5 plus 1. Here's my 5th. I'm going to add on one more for turning. I'm going to skip the first stitch for my hook and place one single crochet into the second stitch. There we go. I'm going to pull up and make one single crochet. Here at my second stitch, I'm going to enter and pull up and create one single crochet. By now, I'm sure you guys have already gotten the hang of this, but I just want to show you all my steps so there's no confusion. Here at the end of my first row, I have my 5 single crochet. I'm going to chain 1 and turn. And to start my second row of stitches, I'm going to go back to working with those front post single crochets. So I'll enter in through my first stitch, wrap around that post, and come back out on that front side. and create a regular single crochet now. Again, I'm going into that next stitch, wrapping around that post and coming back out. And finish out a single crochet. And just repeat this until you hit the end of your row. And for my 5th stitch, of course, there is no post to wrap around, so I'm just going to pick it up like a regular single crochet and finish it out. And of course, at this point, you're just going to repeat those same steps that I showed you earlier on how to make your bottom band. And remember, we want the band to fit snugly to our body. So you don't want to crochet your band exactly to the length of your bandeau. You want it to stretch to fit. And I hope you guys can see here that my band is not quite long enough to reach the end. But when I stitch my top band on, I'm going to stretch my band to fit the bandeau. And again, just to give you guys a quick guideline for my measurements, with my work here folded in half and without any stretch applied to it, my bottom band reaches to about 13 inches, so 26 inches in length. And here my top band reaches to about 15 inches without any stretch. So in total, that's about 30 inches in length. So utilizing this very long tail that I've left for myself, I'm going to thread it through my darning needle. I've placed my body and my top band together along this top edge. And now I'm just going to weave my needle back and forth all along this top edge, making sure to join my 2 pieces together. I'm back again, and as you can see, I have my top band finally stitched on. And thankfully you can't really see a seam too much, so it looks pretty seamless. And now I get to move on to sewing up my side seams. Picking back up where I've left off with my long tail, because of where I attached my band, my tail is kind of sitting in the middle of my seam. So I'm actually just going to thread my needle back and forth until I get back up to my top corner here. I can turn my work inside out and have my right sides touching. And now I'm simply going to stitch up my side seam. After I have my side seam all stitched up, I can turn my work inside out and have my right side facing me again. At this point, your bandeau is pretty much done, but here's where I'm going to go back in and add on my embroidered flowers. To hand stitch on these flowers, I'm going to go ahead and grab my embroidery needle, and I'm going to go ahead and start off with the brightest color. And with my threading, I'm going to go ahead and pull out a good amount of yarn just to make sure I have a nice long tail, and I'll cut it right there. I'm going to thread my first end through the needle. I'm going to start on the inside of my work and bring my needle up through the top. And now I'm going to head right back down and pull my needle through. And here on the inside of my work, I'm just going to tie off a knot to secure my thread. And now I can begin stitching on my flower. I'm going to weave my needle down through my work and back up about 1 inch away. And with my needle resting on my work, I'm going to wrap my threading all around the tip of that needle and pull through. And right above the edge of this petal, I'm going to place my needle back down to hold that petal in place. And there's my first little petal all secured. Once again, I'm going to bring my needle up through the center of my work. And just like I showed you before, I'm going to press my needle down through the work, and I'm going to pop right back out, wrap my threading around the tip of my work, and pull through. And right above that last stitch, I'm going to place my needle back down, and hold that petal in place. And now just repeat that about 3 more times to finish out my flower. And that's my first little flower all done.